Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. This time we're talking about Benelli 502C. This cruiser, or at least this is something approximating a muscle cruiser. This bike has been inspired by Ducati Diavel, which is in my opinion one of the most beautiful bikes that you can come across. And yeah, I would say that the first 70% of the bike, the front part of the bike, is really muscular, very beautiful. The best part of this bike, in my opinion, guys, is the super big and wide gas tank. The capacity of this tank is 21.5 liters, which is really good. The front fork is pretty big as well, so this is an upside down 41 millimeter front fork. Unfortunately, it isn't adjustable, but it's really thick and looks really nice. I really like the way it looks, guys. So the front part of the bike, as I just mentioned, is incredible. This steel tubular frame looks nice as well. It just looks so good. And these handlebars, guys, look at those. They're so wide, and every single time I ride I feel really good, but it's not a very optimal solution for traffic. So if you're a fan of splitting lines, probably this would not be the best option. But guys, there's like one downside of this machine in terms of the design. So yeah, it's like 90% Ducati Diavel, but the very rear part of the bike just doesn't look good. Actually, it looks frail, to be honest. First off, we don't have a single-sided swing arm like Ducati Diavel has, so this is dual-side swing arm. And not that it looks bad, but it doesn't look special at all. And this exhaust pipe, we have a dual exhaust pipe, and you see it's barely holding to the bike. It doesn't look too good, it doesn't feel too good, to be honest, when I just shake it. Tell me what you think about the rear part of the bike, guys, because I'm telling you, this spoils everything in terms of design, because the front part is so muscular, so massive, so beautiful, but the rear part, I wish those designers would be more diligent and they would just finish this bike with a really nice rear part. Yeah, but this is just my humble opinion as always. And talking about the price, guys, right now in China, this bike costs around 45,000 RMB. In 2019, when I first saw this bike in Beijing, this was a very luxury Chinese bike, and the price was more than 50k, and you had to pay 10% tax. So this was not a cheap bike, and I was dreaming about this machine. I was like, wow, this bike is super fast, super good looking. It's almost as good as Ducati. But now, and as I look at this machine, I feel like this bike is still very beautiful, but this rear part spoils pretty much everything for me. And yeah, one of the greatest contribution to the failure of the design, I think, is this pretty narrow rear tire. So it's only 160 millimeters wide, and yeah, I wish it would be at least 200 millimeters wide. Yeah, and I don't really like all those plastic things around. Yeah, they don't look too good. I feel I was talking too much about the design. This is our front wheel, as we can see, and we have 280 millimeter dual disc from the front. We have 4-piston Benelli caliper. They're not too sharp, which is actually a good thing for a beginner. So if you grab the brake really fast, probably nothing bad would happen. And of course, this bike has dual channel ABS. I think for a very experienced rider, these brakes would not be very good, but for a beginner, they would not be too sharp. So probably this is exactly what this bike has to have. And from behind, we have 240 millimeter single disc and 2-piston caliper. Again, rear brake is pretty nice. This is a cruiser, so rear brake has to be better than on sports bike. And I started talking about suspension. So as I already mentioned, the front fork is not adjustable. This is a 41mm upside down fork, very thick, looks good. And from behind we have this monoshock. So I think that this monoshock is pretty nice. For some people it might be a bit stiff, but this is exactly what I like in bikes. And of course, guys, I need to mention the engine. So we have a parallel twin engine. It has 47 horsepower and 46 newtons of torque. I didn't expect this bike to be fast. I thought that it would be pretty lame and pretty slow, but actually it's really torquey and the engine feels pretty punchy. So performance wise, so far so good. Taking that this bike is pretty heavy, so the carb weight of this machine is like over 220 kilograms. The performance of this machine is really decent. Speaking about ergonomics, this bike is pretty long, and of course it's featuring front foot pegs, and it's really a comfortable place to be. The seat height is 750 millimeters, so as I like to say, it will be approachable for pretty much everybody. And I was running with a passenger for some time, and my passenger said that this bike is really comfortable. But there's one thing I need to mention, guys. My passenger and I, we both think that this bike is great in terms of comfort, but there is one tiny downside. And the downside of this bike is vibration. So once you start the bike, once you ride for a long time, you kind of get a bit tired of the vibration. For me, it was not a problem at all, but for my passenger, it was a big problem actually. She said that she felt the vibration in her bones, whatever it means. I think it's time for us to swing our leg over the machine and we'll start riding, okay? But first thing is the sound. Let's listen to the engine. Are you ready? Okay. All right, it sounds pretty well. Yeah, again, as I open the throttle, I do feel the vibrations, but that's nice. All right, guys, first gear. Let's go. All right, guys, so this bike is 220 kilograms heavy. It's still kind of maneuverable. I expected this bike to be way less maneuverable, more difficult to ride. But to be honest, guys, it's surprisingly agile. I really like the feeling of this bike. One super cool feature of this machine is these side mirrors. Guys, they're great. You can see everything. You know, probably some of you would say that this is a very small detail and we don't have to pay attention to those mirrors. In the end of the day, if you don't like mirrors, you can change them, but it's really great to have nice mirrors straight from the factory. This is what I think. All right, guys. Oh yeah. So this bike is pretty fast, but it has one nasty problem for me. So the gears are really short. So much so that in order to get to 100 kilometers per hour, I have to switch to the third gear. And yeah, this is a very bad thing for me because I just don't like to think about gears too much. All right, guys, listen. Talking about the speed of the bike, I feel like we need to accelerate. Are you ready? And brakes. All right. Yeah. Guys, you know, I can say pretty much whatever I want about this machine, but there's one thing that nobody is going to argue. This bike is fun to ride. So on paper, this bike is pretty lame. So it has 47 horsepower, 46 newtons of torque. So you would think that this bike is way worse than the competition. And by competition, I mean CLC 450, I mean Vogue 525. And yeah, those bikes, they're like more maneuverable, they're more agile. And I think that they're still faster than this bike. But somehow, guys, this bike is really fun to ride. It's really fun to ride. So much so that before I swam my leg across, I thought that I would say something like, you know what, this is a nice looking bike, it is reminiscent of Ducati, but it's too heavy, it's really not maneuverable, so you have to kind of force yourself to ride, it's really bad in traffic. And again, it's not the best bike for traffic, but guys, it's really surprisingly maneuverable, surprisingly easy to ride, and it's surprisingly punchy and torquey. This is something I did not expect. Yeah, it's really hard for me to say, guys, but I still think that in 2024, if you're looking for a bike like that, if you're looking for this particular bike, you can still buy it, guys, and I feel like you would not regret. Again, this is not the most maneuverable cruiser, right? This is not the fastest cruiser. This is not the most beautiful cruiser. Talking about super conspicuous, beautiful cruisers, I mean Benda 700, which would be faster, which would be way more, I don't know, conspicuous. But still, that bike is so much to handle, you know? You have to conquer that beast every single time you ride. This bike isn't as easy to ride as CLC 450 or Vogue 525, but it's really easy to ride compared to Benda 700, you know what I'm talking about. And recently I was reviewing that Benda 500, guys, and if you would ask me which bike would I pick, I would definitely pick this bike over Benda 500 pretty much every single day of the week. So yeah, so far so good, guys. And I feel like we need to go fast once again, and then I'll try to stop as fast as I can. So we'll just measure acceleration, then we'll check the brakes. Ready, guys? Alright, so the first gear goes up to 65 kilometers per hour. The second gear goes up to 95, 97 kilometers per hour. So as I just mentioned, in order to get to 100 kilometers per hour, we have to turn to this third gear. And I'll tell you one thing about the gearbox. So we have 6-speed gearbox. Let me find neutral. Can I? Second gear, first gear, second gear, neutral. Yeah, you can still find neutral. Not too easy, but you can still do that. Alright, guys, and once you ride fast, the gearbox feels nice. Brakes, guys, brakes are nice. As I mentioned, we have dual channel ABS, and over here we have a button ABS, so if you want you can turn it off. But I don't think that this is something really important for a cruiser, to be honest. Okay, guys, listen, let me just open the throttle. Ready? Alright, yeah, listen, this bike is really fun to ride. Really fun to ride. Oh, guys, and I don't feel that this bike is small for me. Yeah, look at this tank, guys. 21.5 liters. This is something to notice, right? And this is actually one of the most remarkable parts of this bike. I know that you're constantly telling me that the tank has to be like at least 17 liters, so this bike brought it. You can ride for a long time. To my knowledge, if you have a full tank, you can ride for 500 kilometers, which is a lot, guys, which is a lot. It's way better than most of those bikes. As I already mentioned before, this bike doesn't have an adjustable suspension, but what we have here is pretty nice. We can see, right, guys, the asphalt is really perfect. From time to time we do have some tiny minor bumps and rails. But overall, guys, suspension is pretty nice. I'm 85 kilograms, so for my body weight, the suspension feels really good. Again, I do have some vibrations. I feel some vibrations in my hands. So probably some people would say that this is the minus, but for me, I really like those vibrations, especially talking that we're riding a cruiser, right? For a cruiser like this, vibrations might be a plus, not a minus. So yeah, guys, and let me just show you how maneuverable it is. Whoa, that's really nice. Oh yeah. Again, guys, like, these cruisers are way more maneuverable than I expected. And guys, 220 kilograms, and you can still kind of swerve around like that. Yeah, that's fun. I didn't expect it to be that nice. And one more thing, guys. So we're in China, right? So in China, people, they used to buy, not used to buy, they buy new bikes from the showroom floor. But this bike, if we're talking about second-hand market, is remarkably cheap right now. So in 2024, you can get this bike for 12,000 RMB, even for 10. In dollars, guys, it'll be less than $2,000. Think about that. Yeah, if you have like 1,500 bucks to spare, probably can get one of those. And if you're a fan of those cruisers, like something approximating a muscle cruiser, I don't think that you'll be disappointed. And yeah, if you like Ducati design, you like this bike for sure. Again, I told you, right, that I don't like the rear part of this bike. I wish it would be more muscular. I wish the rear tire would be thicker. But I think that it's just too much to ask for this money. All right. Okay, guys, let's check brakes once again. Ready? Not bad, actually. Listen, if you properly squeeze the front lever, I think that the bike stops quite well. Yeah. All right, guys, listen. I really like this bike so far. I feel like we'll measure acceleration once again, if you don't mind, and we'll head back. And I feel like we'll just wrap this video up. Okay, one last acceleration, if you don't mind. And yeah, by the way, talking about the clutch lever, this clutch lever is pretty smooth, pretty soft. Not the softest clutch lever that you can come across, but still good enough. Again, when I ride, I use only 2 of my fingers, these ones. And yeah, I don't feel tired at all. Yeah, actually, the clutch lever is very soft. But after Z400, maybe it's not too soft, because like Z400 has one of the softest clutch levers. But so far, guys, the clutch lever is really nice. I feel like even a girl can ride it. And yeah, talking about girls, guys, yeah, 220 kilograms, but I think that even a tiny girl can ride this bike. And this is very surprising. Yeah, slipped into neutral. Sometimes it happens. Alright, guys. Haha. Yeah, I wish those gears would be a bit longer. If I could get to 100 kilometers per hour in second gear, it would be better. The TFT dash is pretty nice. It's really reminiscent of Ducati. Alright, guys, one more thing to say. I was riding for some time and the engine is not running hot. So we're in winter. Today is like 8-9 degrees Celsius. So maybe if you would ride in summer it would be different, but so far so good. We go up the hill and the bike still kind of goes fast. In terms of acceleration and power delivery, you feel really good even with the passenger. And I cannot say the same thing about Kawasaki Z400. And one great thing I like about this bike is this bike has cable throttle, but this cable throttle is still kind of very responsive. I'll show you. So once you twist the throttle, bike starts going right away. And this is something I like on Z400, for example. And this is probably why I say that this bike is so much fun to ride. It's surprisingly agile. It doesn't feel as heavy as it is. It's punchy. It looks great. Other than that rear part of the bike, I wish they would change this dual-sided swing arm to one-sided, single-sided swing arm. I wish they would just get rid of this exhaust pipe, and I wish they would put a thicker tire. But other than that, guys, for the money, this is the great bike, and to my knowledge, this is the first Benelli on my channel so far. I hope not the last one. Yeah, guys, I feel like I'll wrap my video up. Tell me what you think about this machine. As I already mentioned, hit me up in the comment section below. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the like button. And guys, as always, I see you in next videos. See you everybody. Take care.